Daily World Walk, day 6. It's Monday. And once again, I return, your host, Tim Niederreiter, author of various books and settings and stuff. But I'm walking a dog today, so I might be distracted on occasion. So, anyway, I'm thinking I want to put the brakes on that other setting for a little bit, the Sea of Tranquility and its environs, because that's another lesson of how world building works. Is often you don't want, in fact, can't do the whole thing back to back to back to back. This setting doesn't speak to me today, so we're not working on it today. Instead, I think there's some other ideas I want to run around with. It might be a little shorter of an episode because of the dog. But I think one of the key things about world building in general is the ability to, at least one of the things that keeps it fresh for me, is that I don't usually lock myself in to world building one world or one universe at a time. And as I did talk about Gundam already on Friday, I think military science fiction might be a natural fit for the next expansion for world building, some kind of sci-fi thing, space opera maybe even. But yeah, I'm feeling like a far future thing. Far future, maybe military science fiction. And I don't have an idea at all before me, so this is going to be interesting. I've made this kind of setting before, but I haven't created all that many books in this kind of genre. So it will be more focused like an RPG, I think, this time around. I think last time kind of came out as an RPG kind of setting anyway. So I think the first place we're going to start with is how hard is this science fiction? How much concept-wise do I want to make this like a hard science fiction? I think that's a pass for me. Like, the science doesn't always have to make sense. I do find it difficult to make a far future setting where the science isn't a little bit more, a little bit more far-flung, a little harder to imagine that it would actually ever happen that way than the alternative. Then again, it could be interesting to say far future hard sci-fi, like the works of Mount Cooper, someone like that, which I don't necessarily consider hard sci-fi myself, but I definitely know that brand of space opera has its fans, right? It has people who are like, okay, so it makes sense. All this technology would make sense at some point in the future, potentially. But anyway, I do think I lean more toward a Star Wars or Star Trek kind of vibe. The space opera, rather than science fiction with the math and all that stuff that people talk about, but is rarely ever actually made. So, yeah, and in case you couldn't tell, it's pretty early here. The beast has me out walking before I'm really ready. He needs to walk, and so I need to walk. And honestly, that is probably the idea we're going to run with today, because I'm just not feeling very inspired at all. So, the idea of animal or other species interactions. So you see how we take a pretty mundane idea, I'm walking the dog, and then turn it into something like a spaceship or some other object that requires some kind of alien creature as the main fuel supply, or the main engine, even the main motivator for its power, the reason it does stuff, or the reason it's able to work. And obviously that's something I lean on a fair amount, actually. Like the Pillar Universe, the equivalent of their stars are living creatures, which is a lot. I mean, it's pretty steep in that way, or pretty fantastical, right? But let's not go quite that crazy, where you need a living creature to have more life. I think that's a little bit too direct for my purposes today. So let's go back and say maybe there's a creature that you can use as a portal or creates a portal around it for faster than light travel or something like that. I kind of like the idea of a bubble. Like a creature that just naturally has a bubble around it that accelerates motion or allows time to warp. Time beasts of some kind. Okay, so let's roll with that. And these beasts, or whatever they are I think, spacefaring creatures. Or, it might be, again, a little steep. Let's say they're not. That actually would present an interesting challenge. Because how do you get to apply that to a spaceship? Which is probably part of the technology and stuff of the settings. Like, how do we get enough of these things or put them in the right place in the ship to allow it to go faster than light? Okay. Yeah, as you can see, it's not always a winner. I feel like this is a tough one to go with for me right now. I mean, you find it more interesting than I do. If you do, feel free to use it. I'm not really world building for any purpose here. And I'm not licensing this podcast under any particular license, but take it, share it if you want. And of course, if you like the idea, use it for your own books. And probably credit me. Yeah, that'd be nice. But no need to do that either, really. Ideas aren't expensive, you know. Even ones I dash off while walking the dog don't sound that bad. They're okay. So, and I don't think there's such a thing really as a bad idea. At least not when it comes to world building like this. Which I think is actually maybe a more interesting subject than weird creatures that motivate spaceships to fly faster than light. Personally. But, you know, as a daily walk, this is what you got. Whew. Yeah, maybe I'll just leave it here for today. No, that seems it's a little short, but as soon as this dog poops, I'll have to call it anyway, because there's no way I can pick it up one-handed. So, it was good chatting today. I'm going to keep walking. And I'll let you know tomorrow if I find the juice. I guess world building wasn't as easy as I thought. Alright, talk to you later. And have a good day. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.